Hello everybody! How are you today? That's great. I'm so glad. Yay. Today I want to talk about my top 5 favorite One Saturday Morning TV shows. For those of you who don't know what One Saturday Morning is, which probably means you're too young, or you've always had cable and never had to squeeze all of your Disney into one morning of the week, One Saturday Morning was when all of the kids' shows played on ABC on Saturday mornings, and it was basically the best part of the week. This program ran through the late 90s and the early 2000s and had so many excellent TV shows, mostly Disney, but some others as well. This list is going to only include Disney-owned shows and shows that were not run as reruns on One Saturday Morning, because if I included those, then Lizzie McGuire and Sabrina the Animated Series would dominate all, and that just wouldn't be fair because they're just so fantastic. Lizzie is my queen. So without further ado, here are my top 5 favorite Disney-owned One Saturday Morning shows that were not reruns. Number 5 on the list is Doug. Who didn't love watching Doug Funny and his friends? I mean, come on, they were great. Not only was Doug a great show, but it was also one of the only Disney TV shows to have a long-term attraction in the Disney parks, with the show Doug live on stage at Hollywood Studios, which was then called MGM. The only other Disney television-based shows are Gadget's Go Coaster in Disneyland, and of course the Disney Junior shows, which are, everywhere. So if this show is so great, then why is it only number 5? Because there are a lot of shows, and if you have a problem with my ranking of Doug, just keep in mind that Pepper Ann and Lloyd in Space had to get left off the list completely, and this was a really hard list to make. There were too many shows. Number 4 is kind of a weird one, and it's Hercules, the animated series. The series was, of course, a spin-off of the 1997 movie, similarly to the Aladdin animated series spin-off, and Timon and Pumbaa spin-off, and the Little Mermaid spin-off, and so on and so on and so on and so on. It was a prequel series depicting Hercules and his friends in high school when he was supposed to be learning how to be a hero, which is kind of a dumb premise because where does Hercules going to high school fit into the plot of the movie? Whatever, I don't care. If I'm being really honest with myself, this show is kind of terrible. Like other animated spin-off shows, the animation quality really sucks. A lot of the voice acting is incredibly annoying, particularly from the characters who were not in the original movie. And additionally, some of the writing is super lame, but that is partially because it was written in the late 1990s, early 2000s, so they can only do so much. However, I find this show incredibly entertaining. This is partially because I adore Hercules and will laugh up absolutely anything Hercules that Disney gives me. While some of the voice actors were kind of annoying, others were quite entertaining. I was particularly excited when Lisa Kudrow was cast as the voice of Aphrodite. And even though some of the storylines were a little dumb and some of the dialogue was a little hard to take, a lot of the show was based off of Greek mythology that wasn't included in the original movie, which I, for one, find very interesting. Number 3 on this list is Recess. This is one of the weirdest kids shows I have ever seen. The kids on Recess had created this whole miniature society based around the culture of recess time at school, which clearly isn't something that typically happens in every elementary school, and while it was totally bizarre and totally unrealistic, it was still a really accurate depiction of how elementary schoolers interact with each other. I would say that the show had an excellent use of stereotypes, which sounds bad, but I mean that in the best way possible. For instance, every elementary school playground has an upside down girl. Think about it. Your school had an upside down girl. Maybe you were that upside down girl. I was upside down girl sometimes. Everybody knows upside down girl, and that's what makes Recess funny. One thing I didn't understand for a long time were the kindergartners, who were interpreted as these savage, uncivilized little monsters. I always thought this was weirdly unrealistic compared to most of the stereotypes on the show, but that may be because I've just never been all that scared of little kids. I now realize that some people find their erratic behavior terrifying, where I find it endearing and entertaining. But anyway, I digress. Number 2 on this list is House of Mouse. This show is basically a brilliant way to reuse a whole bunch of old Mickey Mouse animated shorts and kind of introduce a whole new generation to that style of animation, animated shorts. As a kid who loved like Lambert the Sheepish Lion and all of those old shorts, this show was right up my alley. I loved it. There was also the fact that this show had every single Disney anime character hanging out in one room, which I don't know about you, but that was just so cool to me as a fan. I used to dream that one day I would find the House of Mouse and just go get to hang out at a dinner club with all of my favorite animated characters. But alas, the closest I ever got was Chef Mickey's, and that's just just not the same. This show would be at the top of my list, but I watched way too much of the next show for it not to be number one. Number one is Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. This might seem like an odd one to be taking the top spot, but I honestly loved this show. It was, of course, a Toy Story spin-off that was introduced with the Buzz Lightyear of Star Command The Adventure Begins movie, which was, of course, fantastic. Go watch it if you haven't. It was a little corny at times, but the characters were hilarious and the plot lines were honestly really interesting. And once I eventually got cable and had Disney Channel, my brother and I would watch this show every day before school, when it was on, that is. One thing that did bother me a little bit was that Tim Allen was only the voice of Buzz in the movie that introduced the series, but it didn't bother me too much because he was replaced by Patrick Warburton, whose voice and face you have heard and seen a million times. One notable instance in which you've seen Patrick Warburton was as Kronk in The Emperor's New Groove. It should also be noted that Patrick Warburton will be appearing as the voice of Lemony Snicket in the new series of Unfortunate Events series on Netflix, which is, you know, not Disney, but super cool. I would not have pictured him as Lemony Snicket's voice, but it's certainly an interesting choice. Anyway, those are my personal favorite One Saturday Morning TV shows. But clearly, I'm just scratching the surface. There's so many awesome shows, so comment below if I missed one that you especially loved, or if there were any other TV shows that were on Disney Channel around the same time that you liked just as much. Be sure to like and subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you real soon. Bye!